Good evening, everybody. Today I've spent the majority of my day researching HLBZ because I firmly believe that we are under short attack, and the basis of my beliefs I have validated, and I am very confident that they have one goal and one goal in mind, and that is to get HLBZ delisted from the NASDAQ, and their next goal will be to ultimately bankrupt the company. Now, I have put a lot of personal time, energy, and money into this stock, and I would be lying to you if I said I didn't have concerns, because I have several, and the question is what to do about it. I'm going to discuss some of those in this video, but I also want to discuss a major problem in the markets that continues to get worse. I'm sure that many of you are aware that many stocks that retail loves, but not just those, many of the biotech companies, cancer drugs, and other companies that are startup or investigational and not yet profitable, particularly with a market cap under $2 billion, have been targets of Wall Street attacks. And their goal and only goal is to bankrupt these companies. And guys, this is absolutely sickening. They have stolen trillions of dollars. In fact, it's estimated that in the stock market alone, it's likely been over $1 trillion a year and that's just in stocks. It's actually quite higher if you add in T-bills and bonds and other equities. But however, that being said, stocks alone, it's estimated to be roughly $1 trillion per year over the past 20 years that they have basically stolen money from. They have bankrupted individuals, pension funds, and others, and this is absolutely disgusting. They've destroyed good companies that are doing research and having cures for cancer drugs, and I am just beyond disgusted. And, you know, just when you think that things could possibly get better, thinking that, you know, possibly the events of GameStop and AMC have shed light on this to make them stop and bring more awareness, it just seems like right now we're at a crucial time with a lot of stocks and a lot of good companies that have potential to really do well, including HLBZ, and a lot of cancer drugs that are just getting destroyed. And it makes me absolutely sick to my stomach, and I really am at a loss other than to bring attention to it. So I'm hoping that this video does that. Whether or not you own HLBZ or you own another stock that has been heavily shorted, hopefully my research into this is going to give you an idea, and I'm going to also share some sources that I think you should all look up. First of all, if anybody has a company they're invested in and they are experiencing this, I would highly suggest that you share this video with them. I am going to, of course, tag Salvatore on it. Hopefully he takes the time to watch it, because this is a massive problem and they need to hire Wes Christian, or they need to get in contact with the CEO of GNUS. That's G as in golf, N as in uniform. I'm sorry. G is in golf, N is in November, U is in uniform, S is in Sierra, because he recently has hired Wes Christian and actually put out some good videos that got me, starting to think about this again and the effects that it's having on great companies and how it's just plain out blatantly wrong. And I hate to say this, but it seems like once they go under attack, as we have seen with Adder, ticker A as in Alpha, T as in Tango, E as in Echo, R as in Romeo, the shorting only gets worse. And I'm sure that likely this will happen with GNUS as well and others that go under attack. But hopefully, if these companies can, continue to have better balance sheets and prove the fundamentals, that there will get to a point where this can no longer be overlooked. And that's the bottom line. Companies that continue to do that hopefully will be able to prove their way through. The problem is that when they do these horrible short attacks, what it does is it makes it harder and harder for these companies to get funding. And I firmly believe, because I've been questioning why, when we're getting so close to profitability, does Salvatore keep doing offerings and diluting the stock further? Well, guys, I hate to tell you what the answer to that is, but it's because this stock is about to get delisted from NASDAQ. And it's very possible it could happen. So I'm not sugarcoating anything. I'm not going to sit here and lie. Do I believe that the stock deserves this? 100% no. I'm heavily invested in HLBZ and I believe in the company. But I do believe that what they're doing is intentional. And I believe that their purpose is to make it so that they have no other choice, essentially. They dilute them so bad, so it's hard to get funding. A lot of them, like Mullen, fall into predatory lending. HLBZ has a situation where they had a very small float, so a small market cap that's just been growing and actually like doubled at least in the half year. I'm trying to get Salvatore to give me the actual count so I can confirm whether or not the shares he just issued were to put us in a range where our market cap is above 35 million, because if it's not, then the reality is the stock will be delisted unless the NASDAQ gives them an extension. But because the share price is under $1 and the market cap is not at 35 million, this could mean that there is no extension. Okay, because they can extend it if the share price is below $1 as long as the market cap meets the expectations. But because it's not, and which is why I feel, why have we been compressed and down for so long? Because this is intentional and they're naked shorting this and they're preventing this stock from moving up so that this happens to it. It's absolutely BS. I mean, the CEO himself has put out good news after good news after good news with the expansion. I mean, I don't have anything else to say, but there's nothing bad that I can see other than the dilution. But I think the dilution's intentional, guys, because we need to have the number of shares for the market cap. So I don't believe it's predatory in nature. In fact, I think that the debt will be paid off very quickly. I think that the reason behind it is exactly like I said, they need the shares. But are we going to get there? I don't know. And I don't know what the consequences are going to be, but my gut tells me they're not going to be good because this is being done intentionally, guys. But let me show you what I found out and let's get into it. And let's hope that there's a Hail Mary or Salvatore has something up his sleeve or a way to stop them. And at the end, I'm going to give you some notes and a link I'll try to put in the comments. I don't know if I have one, but I'm going to explain to you what the conversation on the video with Wes Christensen and the CEO of GNUS was, and the bottom line of which has been well known by those who follow this for quite some time. But for those who don't, or those that need affirmation that they're not crazy, this is real and this is happening and it's disgusting. And you know, unfortunately, I think there's a lot of people on the take. Does Gary Gensler do the right thing and stand up? Guys, I don't know, because the reality of it is if the real shorting gets exposed that's been going on for many, many years and is uncovered, first of all, people will lose trust in the U.S. stock market. Second of all, it could cause global collapse. And that's the real problem here that I'm sure that the larger people in the government entities are aware of, is how do you fix the problem without collapsing the entire economy worldwide? And that is a big, big problem. But in the meantime, how do you keep allowing retail investors to be stolen from? And how do you keep allowing companies to go bankrupt? This is absolutely wrong by a million degrees. All right, back to health. All right, guys. So on Friday, the outflow was much bigger than the inflow. I believe that, again, good news dropped, and I believe it was heavily, heavily shorted. However, there may have been some funds moving out that have done their DD and are familiar with the dates. And today, the 16th, being a critical date regarding the notice of delisting that came from the July 29th filing. As you can see, they got an extension on this, and they were given, let Let me see if this is the right one. 1 second. All right, guys, it is. The thing that I wanted to show you here, I didn't highlight, which is why. So to regain compliance, the closing bid price of the common stock must be at least $1 per share for a minimum of 10 consecutive days prior to January 16th, 2023. So be prepared this week to get another notice of delisting or failure to satisfy a continued listing rule, in which Salvatore will have to appeal that. They need to regain compliance, like I said, by today, which is not a market day, to be eligible for an additional 180-day compliance period. So again, guys, today was the deadline for that. I am hoping that he has already put in something in writing to NASDAQ to try to regain that compliance. Now, the biggest problem here is that in order for them to get that 180-day additional extension, what they need to do is they need to have a market cap that is above $35 million. And I am waiting on Salvatore to respond with what the HLBZ actual float is. I've done some math on it, and I think unless we get to just shy of 18 cents, not counting the warrants, because I am not sure where the warrants stand as to what's been converted and what's not, and I am not a warrant person, and I will not sit here and pretend to be one, because it is not my cup of tea in the market or, you know, what I am good at. So that being said, if anybody knows and can comment below about warrants and knows what the exact warrant count is, because I did try to look at it, and other than to go back into filings to see what was issued, but I also need to see if any of them were exercised, which, guys, again, this is not my cup of tea, so I'm not even going to go there. I'm just waiting, hopefully, that Salvatore gives me an answer, or if someone does know, they can give me one in the comments. And I'm also waiting for a confirmed share count, because I want to make sure that my math is adequate. I am guessing that the discrepancy, however, may be made up for in the warrants. And perhaps that takes us to 35 million, which is what we need to get an extension for that $1 minimum bid price. Now, if we can get an extension for that, then I believe we see a huge move upwards in this price. However, if we do not, then we're going to have a big problem. The other thing that comes into play here, which I'm sorry, Salvatore, this one's on you. There has been no shareholder meeting in the past year, which puts us further out of compliance, and there is no excuse for that. So that is not going to help this case, other than the fact that, you know, perhaps it was an oversight on the CEO, because this is a newly listed NASDAQ company. However, he should have somebody working for him that is making him aware of these rules and regulations, because this is a big problem, especially when you're not meeting other requirements. If you were, perhaps it would be no big deal. But now we're starting to look like BBIG a little bit here, with getting all of these multiple delisting notices coming into play, guys. And this is nothing to joke about, because nobody wants to be delisted to the OTC if they do not have to be. You know, I don't know what to say, but let's continue. Institutional ownership of only 3.45%. Now, want to ask me what my thoughts are on why it's so small? Because they're all in this together, guys, and they are intentionally going after HLBZ, and they all know the consequences that they're going to result in shorting this to oblivion, so that they eventually, hopefully, in their opinion, get delisted, and then their next step will be to attempt bankruptcy at them. Unfortunately, what they probably haven't accounted for was just how good HLBZ has been doing about, you know, dropping news, expanding the Wheels acquisition. You know, they have been doing their job. That's something that we can't say they haven't. But unfortunately, once you're under attack by these predators, it becomes very, very difficult, no matter how great of a job that you are doing. Now, my advice to Salvatore would be to stop diluting ASAP, even though I think I firmly understand what your intent is in order to get that 35 million market cap. How else are you going to do it when they are doing this to your stock? They're not giving you much of an option, and I am fully aware of that from my research and can't fault you for it. However, if we are able to regain compliance for shareholders and to get this company to continue moving in the right direction, the next step after you, of course, can regain that compliance would be to stop with the dilution and to start, as soon as you're profitable and able to do so, being able to buy back some of those shares and get it under control. Because this is just not helping the situation, and that is likely why the stock price just continues to fall, because if you look at the filings, you see prospectus after prospectus. Again, guys, 100% confident the reason he is doing this is not to dilute the stock. Look at the amount of shares he himself is purchasing, but it's because he's under attack and doesn't know what else to do to get this back into compliance, because it seems like all the good news he gets is immediately taken down by a short attack. And it is very, very disheartening, and I can't even imagine the daily stress that he must be under in regards to what is occurring in this company. And for those of you who perhaps own a business and are consider going public, I would wait until this game stops, because they are likely to attack whatever company does in the process. Unfortunately, this is a sick game they're playing that needs to be put to an end. Now, guys, there's no mistaking, and a lot of people can say, buy more, buy more. How much more can this man buy? Insiders own 33.12% of this company already. I have to say, in all the years I've been in the market and what I'm seeing with HLBZ, it is not his lack of buying or lack of trying that's causing this. This is pure attack. Others would be you and I, and other retail investors own 63.43% of this company. So guys, who stands to get hurt the most by this potentially becoming delisted and sent to OTC? Well, not to say that it can't run in OTC, but sadly, it seems to me, and if anybody else follows AITX, another company that I think could be potentially great in the future if the games would stop, go and ask that CEO what they've done to his company, okay? Because every time they get a run in OTC, they smash it down and they keep going. Anyways, at that being said, this is something that we obviously do not want to happen. Is it inevitable? I don't know the answer, and I need more clarification on the exact counts in order to tell you my true thoughts on that, or we're going to find out in a filing very quickly. One of two things. If I get the information, I will happily pass on what I know to you with a follow-up. Now, short interest is at 1.50%. Let me tell you right now, please do not use Fintel as your god, because I can promise you that this is not the true short interest. With a short ratio of 0.09 days to cover. Get real, guys. If you really think this is true, look at what the short volume ratio has been in the past months, month after month after month. Look at the value it's been at. It is clearly being shorted in the dark pool, but they are not putting these shorts in as shorts, and they do not have to disclose their short position either, but they have ways around it. And I'm going to give you, like I said, a video to watch to learn about this yourself. I'm going to give you several. All right. So HLBZ short share availability is 5,400,000. So guess what? It doesn't matter how many they have, guys. F3 override. They are going to continue shorting this, and they have available shorts, supposedly, enough to do so, in my opinion. Now, short volume ratio is currently sitting at 49.40% for Friday, but you can see that over the past 2 weeks, it's been between 46.51 and 59.27%. So you tell me, looking at this, if they're shorting every single day between 46 and 59% of the shares being traded in the dark pool, which the majority of, unfortunately, of shares in HLBZ are being shorted there. How is it that we only have a 1.50% short interest? Well, the short and simple answer, guys, is that that's absolute BS. It is actually a lot higher. And do you think that the cost to borrow would be at 27.92% if it wasn't, if it was really at only 1.5%? No, guys, it would be very, very low. All right, and just so you're well aware, according to this, which I also believe is absolute BS because it's not obviously showing you naked shares, it is saying that we really don't have an issue with FTDs because they have been cleared out by the end of the month. And as you can see, in November, it spiked extremely high when we had that run. And guys, I do expect if anything good comes of this and we don't get a delisting notice, that perhaps this can go up higher again. Now, I'm just going to be pulling up some notes that I want to read to you, and these are very important. So if you have a pen and paper, please take out a notepad and write them down. So this is based off of the CEO from GNUS and Wes Christensen's interview that you can find by looking on YouTube and Googling the stock market stole $360,000 from me and I'm getting it back. That is the title of the video. Search for it on YouTube. It's about 37 minutes long and will be a very educational 30-minute watch for anybody or any company experiencing this. Now, here's my notes from it and the reality of what I believe to be true as well, and it just confirmed it. The goal of short selling is to make the companies go bust. Companies with a $2 billion or less market cap are most at risk. The bankruptcy is the goal because the company never has to pay back all the shorts and they don't even have to pay taxes on their gains. This is the crime of the century for shorts and naked short selling, because in order to prevent this, what companies can do is that they need to stay cash positive and be ahead of the game. So in order to do that, he is saying, like you're seeing with the offerings and stuff that Adam Aron and others that are heavily shorted have been doing recently, it's because they're trying to keep enough cash that they are not forced into a bankruptcy like their goal is, guys. If short sellers push the price down, the company needs to have enough people buying the shares to make the attack no longer worth the short attack, because if the price keeps going back up, it becomes counterproductive for the shorts to keep trying, and the hope is eventually they will move on. So what this is saying is that, you know, like with HLBZ, we keep putting out good news after good news after good news, right? But what's happening here? Well, I think a lot of shareholders have gotten frustrated and they've moved on. But the goal ultimately would be, if possible, to continue this attack of putting out this great PR, because eventually, hopefully, you'll get momentum back into the play. Like right now, I think the biggest thing holding us, I think there are two big things holding us down. Number one is the dilution in that deal, which I believe is firmly priced in with HLBZ and the funding that they have with, Now, the second would be the fact that, obviously, big money is well aware, as I'm giving you the dates for potential delisting, and they're not going to invest in a stock that they say could potentially go to OTC. So that's another big problem we have right now, and their goal is to continue making this get there. So how do we expose this or flush it out? A few methods include investigating a dual listing, special dividends. The problem is that some of the brokers will pay this out themselves rather than expose it, unless on a private blockchain. So is there a way to do a special offering with some kind of token or something on a blockchain? Something to think about. Another option is dividends of a private company, like what they did with Meta and MMTLP. However, guys, we all know how that ended up, and clearly somebody was covering something, or at least is suspected to be, because that all hasn't come to light yet, and it'll be very interesting to see how it does come to light eventually. You know, the results of that second one, like I said, with Meta and MMTLP are yet to be seen, so I'm not sure that that's the best way, because clearly they found a way around that too. Just remember that on the board of, you know, these big regulating agencies are also the same people that we see, you know, that are market makers or heads of these big market making firms. So who's regulating? They're regulating each other. I mean, really, guys, it's a joke, and it's a sick joke. nothing funny about it. Please don't take that word that way. So, what is the most important thing, guys, that investors can do? Take your shares out of margin accounts, because in every single margin agreement, there is a line somewhere, and they're very long, so they are very sneaky about their verbiage, but there is a line that says they can loan out your shares even if you have share lending off, guys. So, you're best to have your shares in a cash account and get in. Not just that, guys, but send a notice to your broker telling them that you do not want your shares lent out and you want it in writing that they will not be lending out your shares. For whatever good that does, I don't know, but that is what the recommendation is. Hopefully that means that they put it in a different category. But again, guys, I truly believe that, oops, they do a lot of what they like. Sorry, one sec. Okay, West Christian recommends that if your company is under attack, you monitor your shares daily for imbalances and price action. This is not a quick fix. It can take months to years. And guys, I can't stress enough that if you know of a company that's being attacked in this way, that you let the CEO know. And, you know, hopefully they're able to hire Wes and do something about it, because this is a major problem that's occurring across the market. So companies like Overstock and Taser went to the SEC about this, and they themselves got investigated. So why is it that a lot of companies likely aren't speaking out? Well, maybe because they're afraid of the repercussions. Could you imagine going to the SEC and telling them about naked short selling that you have proof of occurring in your company, and the SEC turning around and investigating you? What kind of BS is that? I mean, this is really messed up, people, but this is what's happening. The system is very corrupt. Retail investors are being stolen from, and companies are being shorted and naked shorted into bankruptcy. It is very expensive to fight this battle, which is why a lot of companies just give up. This is wrong. Companies need to be educated. Shareholders need to understand that this is part of the shorts game and know that there are things they can do to help, which would include, guys, like I said, not having your stock in payment for order flow brokers, as well as making sure that you are in a cash account, unless, you know, you have a separate trading account, which you're going to use margin on. However, if you are owning shares long in a company, it's really counterproductive to have them being lent out. And I know that a lot of people are like, well, I might as well get a profit on it because they're doing it anyways. And trust me, I get that mentality, but you're just hurting yourself and other investors, because you're giving them permission to short the stock that you're trying to make money in. So what good is that doing you? The other thing you can do, guys, is write to your senators. I know a lot of people in BBIG did that. Now, companies need to continue to work towards increasing their EPS by working hard to increase profitability, raise the money that they need to stay in business. It'll make it harder for Wall Street to perpetrate their lies, because eventually the truth comes out in stock price. Like, look at Tesla. These shorts will go to any length to keep up their shorting game. They will have people in the press bashing the company, class action lawsuits brought up against them, people accusing them of being a fraud. These people are all paid in hopes that the stock price will continue to be driven down. They have algorithms built to do the spoofing. You can see the blocks. And guys, anybody who has watched the tape has seen these blocks pop up that they just can't seem to get over. That is spoofing. They never intend to fill those blocks. They are using them as clickbait to try to get you scared and to sell your position, except for when they're trying to run it up. Then it's the opposite way, so that they can just short it back down. They are making so much money doing this. It's sickening, and they're taking it out of everybody's pocket, including the companies who need to pay their employees and everything else. Anyways, those offers that you see them spoofing on, they never get filled. The clearinghouses and market makers know that this is starting to come to light, and lots of smaller hedge funds have been going under as a result. Companies need to join together and to fight back. And guys, I think that they all need to come together and start a class action lawsuit against Wall Street for the corruption. The scariest part is that regulators are afraid for their lives. There's somebody that's a regulator in Canada that literally has said he's afraid for his life and is considering changing his identity and going undercover. Like, seriously, guys, this is a major, major problem. And it could blow up the world economy. The reality of the situation is, if this gets exposed, it will cause massive, massive distrust in financial institutions and in the stock market. So what are they going to do about it to prevent that from happening, but while fixing the situation? I don't know, but my guess is it's going to take time and lots of people to keep fighting. Experts believe that $120 trillion over the past 20 years has been stolen from the economy and investors. Pension funds have been wiped out, and investors have suffered tremendous losses due to this fraud. This is not just from common stock. It also includes credit default swaps, treasury bills, and bonds. Stocks alone, like I said, oh gosh, I was off. Stocks alone account for $1 trillion a year of these losses, guys. Well, at least $1 trillion a year. It's just a really, really sick game. It is, there's a lot of things going around, like people saying this stock, that stock is crap, little crap emojis floating around with it. Guys, it's not the company. These companies that are actually doing huge things and good things, it's not their fault. This is just a sick, sick game that Wall Street is playing, and it needs to come to light. Companies need to take action, and we as shareholders need to take action and fight back as well. And the best way that we can do that, of course, is by not hesitating to write to your senators. But if you're not even willing to do that, then guys, what you can do is simple. Stop using margin on these accounts. I understand if you are a day trader and you need to maintain a $25,000 balance to day trade and have margin in, but let me tell you, you're doing yourself a disservice by having your shares not in a cash account and not being sure that you are in writing notifying the broker that they are not to lend out your shares. I hope that this helps, and I really hope that, people can shed some light on this. I do want to real quickly show you some things that you can go to for resources. One moment. I would recommend people watch would be Wall Street stole $300 million from me. I'm getting it back. I'm sorry. I don't know where I got 360,000 or whatever I had in my head, but it's actually 300 million. So guys, that would be the first one. And it's under Roger James Hamilton's page. Then I would recommend checking out this website. It's called Naked Truth Inc. And you can go there and find facts with Wes Christian, as well as a bunch of other things on that site. So I would check that out. And then these two videos for your viewing pleasure. Check out The Wall Street Conspiracy and the latest, the sequel to it. The Wall Street Conspiracy sequel, Down the Rabbit Hole. All right, guys, I hope that you found this video helpful, and please help spread the word. Share this video, even if, like I said, it is not your stock of choice, HLBZ, whatever stock you may be in that's experiencing this, we need to spread the word, and hopefully these CEOs can join up together as a team and fight back, because this is absolutely gotten out of hand. And if they don't work as a team, strength is in numbers. Let's put it this way. If they can work as a team, strength is in numbers. And I think that, together they can successfully battle these shorts, and people will stop looking at them like they're crazy, just like you hear them say about retail investors. Because guys, the reality of the situation is this isn't made up. And you always hear me say, if you want to make money in the market, you have to follow big money. That being said, there's a lot of good companies that are not yet profitable that, deserve a chance. And unfortunately, Wall Street's making it next to impossible for them. Salvatore, if you're watching this, best of luck. I have a lot invested in this company, and I truly hope that, we can find some results, and I wish you as much success. as possible, and hopefully we get things going in the right direction and get NASDAQ to extend that. Please, if you have not already, I would greatly appreciate a response to my question regarding the current number of shares as of today's date, as well as the warrants.